Welcome to this week's Bully Sports Backtalk with Bully and Ringer. Bully, it was an interesting week since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, lots going on. What do you mean?
Well, the election, the Vikings slide, the Wild playing okay, the Timberwolves won a game. It's been busy.
Okay, now I know where we started. All started, a week ago Tuesday. Tomorrow, we could go from tomorrow, but the big election, I was up quite late that night till 3 in the morning.
Oh, you did not stay up that late to see the fight until it was official? You stayed up that late?
I wanted to hear the speeches.
Okay.
And I kind of had an idea what both were going to say. I'm sure they both had the same speech if they won and the same speech if they lost. You know, unity, bringing the United States of America together again. That's what they always say. And, of course, Donald Trump won. I don't have an issue with that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next transition period, and then that first 100 days they always kind of talk about of a new administration. They try to get through the things that they really want, the changes that they really want to make, and I'm interested to see what those are going to be. I'm on bated breath. I don't know if that's the right terminology for it, but I'm eager to see what he is going to propose for sure, and what he actually thinks that he can get through Congress and everything else.
Well, he's backed off on the wall. It's no offense. He's backed off on Obamacare somewhat. I know he will change it somewhat, but he's not going to implode it.
Well, and somebody told me, and I didn't realize this, but he needs 60 votes in the Senate to get it repealed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if after he saw what happened, I don't think he can get to 60 votes. Maybe he can. I don't know.
And he backed off a little bit on the immigration things, more or less saying if they're felons, then we can get them out. But we just can't throw out all people or all immigrants, I guess. So it should be fun. He's an interesting guy. Believe me, he's not the. He is a schmuck. We all know that, okay? And if you didn't know that going into the election, well, shame on you. But the guy's a real piece of work, and hopefully he does the right thing for the American people. We will see.
We will see. Let's. You want to talk some Wild?
No, let's talk some more politics.
What about? You want to talk? No.
Well,
maybe you were serious.
No,
I'm
local
like,
politics. Geez. Bob Anderson got reelected by about 500 votes. Bimbo went on a polls here in Rainier. Really close election for the council. Nobody could say their vote didn't count.
Two vote difference, I think, if I remember.
One vote, 171 to 170, okay. And people in Rainier can say my vote counted because it did. The school board, are you happy with the results?
I'll put it this way: it was our union said those were the 4 people that we were supposed to vote for. I'm going to trust them that they knew what they were talking about. So
the union comes right out and says that.
Union actually interviewed all the school board members, had a panel, and talked to them and said, where are you at on this issue? Where are you at on this issue? And after they had that meeting with all the candidates, they told our union who to vote for, basically, who we should try to vote for as the 4 people. So
interesting. Well, I'll give you. Well, this is a true giveaway on how I voted. I only voted for 2 of them.
Oh, well, and I heard a lot of people didn't vote for all 4.
No, 2 of the ones that got in.
2 of the,
I used my full vote. I just,
okay.
That tells you the 2 that I did vote for that didn't get in.
I understand. And I think, like I said, I had a lot of people who told me I only voted for 3 people out of the 6.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Or voted for only 2 people out of the 6.
Sure.
So I thought that was very interesting because that felt to me like, if there were people, well, maybe you just don't vote for people that you didn't believe in, I guess. And
if you believe in 3 of them and you're unsure of, I shouldn't say against the other 3 because they're all doing us all a nice favor by all running. Because if they didn't, then we wouldn't have that choice of who we wanted. But I give kudos to everybody who ran this year. Run again. Don't be afraid of it. And I won't ever do it.
It's a tough gig. I think I'd rather stay away from it.
Exactly. So let's move on now.
Yeah, let's move on.
Why do you want to keep talking this?
I don't know why. It's because it is. Let's talk about the Wild. Over the weekend in Ottawa on Sunday, in Philly on Saturday. Overtime win on Sunday, a loss by a goal on Saturday. Do you tell me how you think that they're playing, I guess, is my question.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Parisi's been out. He's obviously their leader, so to say, as far as on the ice. And I think there's been a few guys that have really stood out. Suter's played really well. Stahl, who you really like, has been very good. All that's been advertised. He's playing like he used to play about 8-9 years ago. He's better than I thought he would be.
Can he continue to do it? I mean, your perception.
He seems energized. He seemed passionate. If you're passionate in the game of hockey, you have a shot. You have a chance. So I think he can, just because he seems very passionate about what he's doing. He's playing with Coyle and Niederreiter. It's a big line. They seem to be doing pretty well together. I kind of like what they're doing with Granlund and Koivu. They're trying to find the right mix on there. I see today they put Zucker on the line with them two guys today, and they put Pominville down with Haula and Parise. He did practice on the third line today.
Okay.
So Parise could play tomorrow night, and then so I kind of like how most of the guys are playing. Christian Folin, I think, has moved up to a top 4D, which is very unexpected. It's good to see. Brodin's been playing well. Dumba has really struggled. Matt Dumba got the game winner last night, so you can sit there and give him the kudos, but and you could tell Bruce Boudreau had a hard time with it. I don't think Dumba played well at all last night, and he played really bad on Saturday night against Philadelphia. So. It's kind of scary when the guy who's struggling and played bad scores the game winner. Well, is he learning his lesson? We shall see. I'm sure Bruce still talked about him, because at that level, they all know that even though they showed up in the stat sheet, the coach definitely still knows who played the best.
Do you feel like that's, and I'm not saying that previous coaches weren't asking these same things, but do you feel like Boudreau is almost demanding that out of his players, that if you're not going to play with passion, you're not going to play with heart, we're going to send you to Iowa, or we're going to find someplace else for you to go? It just seems like,
demand's a big word. Once you use the word demand, you're in trouble, I think. I learned a long time ago, you even at their level, you can't teach passion. Football, you can't teach passion. It's in your blood, it's in your soul, it's in your game, it's in your makeup. If you pretend you can turn Grayevac into a nutso type forward because he's 6'4", 6'5",
right,
you're not going to do it. He just doesn't have that in him. So as far as demanding and teaching passion, it's I think almost impossible. You can demand and expect harder work. Okay. But using the word passion and demand at the same time is pretty tough. And one guy I've been really would like to see get sat down is Chris Stewart.
Okay.
They brought him in for one reason: bang bodies. I counted the last 5 games. It's sad that I actually do this. But I do on certain players. Granlund had more hits than he did.
Ooh.
Over a 5-game period. And when Mikael Granlund, who's 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing, is out there banging bodies, and Chris Stewart, who runs about 6'3", 225, 235, is playing patsy out there. Not a good sign. I know Boudreau's been down on him. You can see him. He's a little rejuvenated against Philly, then went back to his old way again last night against Ottawa. He's got to mix it up. He's got to be in the face of the other players on the other team. If one of our guys get dinged, he's got to be in there to defend him. And I'm not saying go out there and fight or anything. He just needs to play with a little more physicality. Get out there and bang bodies, because we didn't bring you in at $1.5 million a year to play the right wing and score 7 goals for the year.
Talk about the goaltender situation.
Yeah, nice. Good to see Kemper had a good game last night.
I was actually surprised that they put up the stat last night that he had not played since October 23rd. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? I would have swore that he just played like last week, but time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, and his last outing wasn't good. I mean, he let in some cheapies. The previous game, he didn't play as well, real well. And obviously, our beloved coach Bob Mason here from International Falls probably had some nice conversations with him, told him what he needed to work on, and obviously he did.
Yeah, it's looked good.
But the goaltending's good. I like how the defense are playing. I like to see Parise back. I like to see Chris Stewart get set a few games, and Eriksson Ek is going to be going back to either Sweden or Iowa. I would guess Sweden. probably to keep them away from the physicality of the American Hockey League. They'll probably send them to Sweden. He obviously has developed real well over there. He's ready, but he's going to be a top 9 forward, and right now they don't have a top 9 forward spot for him. So it doesn't make sense to keep him in playing the fourth line for the Wild. He's better off developing at another place.
What else have you seen in the NHL the past week?
Well, Bruins are getting better. A lot of teams are getting better. I noticed Nashville made a run. They went 4-0-1 this week. Dallas played well this week, although they lost the other night last night to Vancouver in overtime. The NHL Central is still a mix. There's like all 7 teams within about 3-4 points of each other. Chicago's kind of separating themselves. They beat Montreal last night.
Okay.
So Chicago's definitely playing the best. The Wild, Nashville, Winnipeg, St. Louis is dropping a little bit. They're all kind of right together. And then down at the bottom, you got Colorado, who's trying to come back. But over on the other side is the LA Kings are really dropping.
Okay.
A lot of injuries. I see Kopitar just got hurt. They lost their goalie quick. So they got a lot of injury problems. They're sitting down at about 4th or 5th. Edmonton wasn't first. I think they still are, but now we're starting to struggle a little bit. So the other side is a lot easier.
Sure.
And I figure San Jose and Anaheim will be the top 2 in there. And then I don't know who that third team out of that side is going to be. But the NHL is alive and well. It's going well. There's a lot of good hockey out there, and I get to watch a lot of it.
Let's move on to the Vikings.
Boy, how long are we going to talk about this?
Well, we'll see how much venom you have in your system. So we'll see how long it takes for to get it all
Not
out.
much. I'm in a good mood.
Defense lose this game for the Vikings, or was no?
No, I know that doesn't get any easier than this. You want to know how they lost the game?
They didn't score as many
Do
points.
you want to know or don't?
I do.
Okay. Here's the deal. We all remember what happened after the first quarter, and then they played the second quarter, and the Vikings came out and just absolutely dominated. They moved the ball down the field, up and down, and they scored 20 points in about 8.5, 9 minutes. Just throwing the ball every down, not messing around with the run, just throwing the ball. So they got up 20-14 because Walsh missed another extra point. Yeah, so they kick off to start the third quarter, which was fine. And Washington made a small little drive, kicked a field goal, made it 20-17. The Vikings came out their very first and only drive of the third quarter. Do you know they only had the ball for 1.5 minutes in the third quarter? They came out, and their only drive of the third quarter, they ran the ball 3 straight times. Instead of taking off the momentum they got from the second quarter, come out just chucking it all over like they did in the second quarter, just come out and start peppering it again. They came out and ran the ball 3 straight times, punted the ball, didn't get the ball back again until the fourth quarter. They had the ball 1.5 minutes in the third quarter. That's what lost the game for the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. It had nothing to do with our offensive line, our defense, our kicker. I think the coaching, when they came out and took basically a laid-back effect, not trying to win the game, and what they did is they tried not to lose it in the third quarter. Gave all the momentum they gained back in the second quarter, right back to Washington, who's at home. When you're at home, you go after them, silence that crowd. And the Vikings, and I don't think it got brought up enough in the media, is they did not bring that up enough. The Vikings laid an egg in the third quarter. They just came out and played very passive, wanted to run the ball. Who they kidding? They can't run the ball. So, of course, Washington took over, game over. That's why they lost.
First and second quarter, I'll admit I did not see. I listened to the last play of the first half when they threw the touchdown pass. It looked to me like in the second half, I agree with you, they seemed to get away from what was working. And then you go to the last drive. Mm-hmm. They got the ball on, about their own 15, 20-yard line, wherever it was. And they just started going to digs. Boom, boom, boom. They got down to about the 25-yard line. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what changed. And all of a sudden, instead of going 3-step and pop the ball to a short guy, they decided that we had to start throwing to the end zone and going 5-step or 7-step drop. And all of a sudden, the whole momentum of the whole drive changed. And it just sounds like, to me, like the team, Washington, was giving us the digs 6 yards. Take your 6 yards and get to the next play. Get up there and spike the ball and take your 6 yards the next time and then get into the end zone. It just seemed like we got to the 25-yard line and our focus, the way we were going to try to score, all of a sudden changed. and we got away from what was being effective, and apparently very much the way we did in the first half, because you said Diggs had what, 100 and some yards?
160 yards total for the day.
Had 100 and whatever, and he had 6 or 7 straight catches on the last series. Ooh, take what they're going to give you and use it. I just didn't like the change of focus in the end of that drive when they had a chance to tie it or take the lead. It would have been very interesting if they'd have tied it at 26, if they had kicked it or went for 2.
Okay, a couple things. I'll go back a little earlier in the game. It was probably beginning of the fourth quarter. Vikings were driving then, and you remember the Bradford interception.
Yeah.
Okay, he was behind center once all game.
And it was on that play?
Tell. Okay, it's obviously a tell. The linebacker, they obviously knew it was a quick slant. The linebacker did not move. Basically, it wasn't even a 2-step drop.
Yeah.
He basically got a 2-step, bang. Okay, interception.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously that was a tell. And when you don't go back in the shotgun, obviously Washington knew that play was on, or a similar play was on.
Sure.
Okay, they definitely knew it wasn't a run. That was one thing. Also, when of course you know this, being a football guy, is as the closer you get to the goal line or the other team's end zone, the field shortens.
Sure.
You know, the defensive backs don't have to cover as much ground. They're moving in closer to the play. But the same thing, though. I mean, they kind of went away. They tried to hit a couple longer ones on the inside to Rudolph, who, by the way, does he go into the getting tackled any wimpier than any tight end you've ever seen in your life?
I thought that same thought yesterday.
2 times. First down, he was within my glass away, and he just lays down. Instead of trying to run through the guy, he's a tight end. He's not a little 5'8" wide receiver. He's a tight end. Go through him. Okay?
I agree with you 100%.
Notre Dame boy, little pretty boy. Going to Notre Dame, yeah.
Zing!
Well, come on. A kid from Northwestern would have put his head down, or Illinois, or whatever.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question. The winning team of the NFC North,
Yeah.
what's their record going to be at the end of the season? Because we're 9 games in. They're 5-4 all the way on the top with the Lions and the Vikings. The number of wins that the NFC North champion
9.
has. 9?
Packers will win the NFC North.
With 9.
Mm-hmm. They're 4-5 now, so they'll have to go
5-2.
5-2 the rest of the way. Vikings will be one of them on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day in Green Bay, the second to last week. So that'll be a big one. Green Bay will win the conference or win the division or win the playoff spot. There'll be a first round exit, though. Green Bay will win it. I don't see the Vikings coming out of this.
Let's talk about last night's Sunday night football game, the Pats and the Seahawks a little bit. Deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say, except in the opposite direction. Can you believe that Tom Brady dropped that snap on the goal line?
No, it's for some reasons, Seattle's going to make a run here. Okay. People are talking Dallas. I think if Dallas and I may be wrong. I've been wrong 22 times a day. Okay, it's Monday. But if Dallas and Seattle meet, Seattle will beat them.
Okay.
Because Seattle has the defense. Dallas, as we all saw yesterday, Pittsburgh picked it apart, and I've been saying that to you for the last 3 weeks. As soon as they're up against a good offense that can move the ball and pass the ball, they'll be exploited. They were yesterday. Basically, whoever had the ball last in that game was going to win, and Pittsburgh almost came back with 30 seconds left and won it. But Seattle's a great team. Do I believe Tom Brady dropped it? No. I mean, it was the weirdest thing. It was like last year, I was just waiting for Brady to throw that interception in the end zone, and he didn't. There probably could have been pass interference on Gronk with that 15 seconds left and on fourth down. But Gronk was creating as much of that hitting as anything. It was kind of funny last night because fantasy football, of course, I'm kind of involved in that.
Kinda.
My good buddy Brucey Sandbeck's on one side, and my son and son-in-law are playing against him on the other side. And Brucey has Gronkowski and Gostkowski, okay? And my son-in-law and my son Burke have nothing. They're done. and my son Burke and Mike are up by 1.5 points.
And all Gronk had to do was catch that touchdown
Well, he didn't even have to
pass.
catch it. The extra point would have got him the one. They would have went into overtime, and Gronk would have caught at least one ball
Sure.
to get the win. So that play there got Mike and Burke the win, and Brucey wasn't watching anyways because he doesn't watch it.
What do you like about the what do you like or not like about the 2-point conversion that Seattle ran when they made it 31-24? Like
Well, yeah, I mean,
Tracy Claeys.
no, if good. Here's a great example. Seattle would have been playing the Vikings. Okay, they would have kicked the extra point and got the 8-point lead. Okay, but there's probably no one within the 5-yard line, and they actually disproved it last night. But nobody better in football than Tom Brady inside the 5-yard line, as far as he can give it to Blunt and run it in. Very good at getting it to multiple receivers like Edelman and Gronkowski, Martellus Bennett, and a number of players he could throw it to. So I thought it was a good move, forcing basically saying, Seattle, we'll forfeit the 7 to you and we'll go into overtime, but we're not going to give you a chance to tie us at 8. We're gonna try to win it here and get up by 9 and end this thing here. So I thought the play call wasn't the best. They should have had something better called if they were going to do that. But interesting. I enjoyed it. Pittsburgh went for 4 of them yesterday. Lost by 3 points.
Well, and I got into this conversation with somebody too. Why don't more teams do what Pittsburgh did? They scored early in the ball game, immediately went for 2. I just think that I think teams from the 2-yard line in the NFL are better than 50% of getting the ball into the end zone. And to me, that means you should go for 2 every time. The math don't lie on that. They should be going for 2 every time. Forget the extra point. That's what the Vikings should do. They only send Blair Walsh out there when it's for 3 points. That's it. You go for 2 every time. Every time.
Have you seen the Vikings from a yard away?
No. I didn't say, and don't worry about the 1 point. I agree, 1 yard. When they need 1 yard or less, I agree. This is 2. This is a different story for some mental reason with the Vikings. I agree, 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 with the Vikings for the pass.
Because they think they have to run it.
7. They think that they have to run it. They've got this Seattle Seahawk fan thing from a couple of years ago when they were playing New England. You got to run it from a yard out. That's a bunch of malarkey. I don't understand that. And the Vikings, for whatever reason, run the same exact play every time on 3rd and 1. I don't care who's been the offense coordinator. It's just like here's our 3rd and 1 play. This is what we're going to do, and we're going to run that doggone thing till we get a first down. While we're waiting. I don't know. To me, you run a slant, you run an out, you run an arrow release, you run something. I don't get it.
In a way, I really do agree with you.
But in a way, you don't.
Well, here's why. Pittsburgh, one of the best at it, went 0 for 4. So those statistics, if teams that do analytics, and you know what I think of analytics.
I know how you feel.
Those statistics were just thwarted yesterday because Pittsburgh was denied 4 times. Okay, so that's an 0 for. Now people will say, well, here's why you don't go for 2. Pittsburgh lost the game to Dallas because of it. Well, what happened too, if you go back to it all, is by not getting it the first time, it forced them to go the next 3 times to try to make up for it. But it makes the game fun. I'll give Tomlin credit. I'll never get down on a coach for trying it. As long as they got a prolific offense and can get back down there. Now, teams like the Vikings who struggle to get down in those areas that often, it's a lot tougher for them to try that. I liked Seattle's offense last night. I thought they played really well. Russell Wilson looks like he's got a few braces off all his 2 legs. They showed him a previous game, and he couldn't even see his legs, so he took a few braces off. Seemed to move a little better, and be careful of that team. I really like Seattle closing it out here.
Anything else from the NFL?
NFL, not really. Atlanta was surprisingly lost. That was kind of a shocker to me. Boy, that whole division there, what is that, the NFC South with Tampa, Atlanta.
Yeah, well, how many wins to win that division? 7?
Well, I don't know. Atlanta's team, what do they got? Like 5 right now?
5, I think.
So they're okay, but they got to bye this week, and I think New Orleans, well, they can win every week, but they can easily lose. But they'll be a 500 team. Carolina losing after being up 17-0, inexcusable in Carolina. The Chiefs, Raiders, Denver, boy, is that conference loaded over there in the AFC West.
Absolutely.
But A lot of good football. Good one tonight. The Giants and Cincinnati, and really good one Thursday. We got Carolina at New Orleans. So next Thursday should be good.
CFL over the weekend got their playoffs started. The fourth place team out of the West, Edmonton, went over and took down the number 2 Hamilton. And then my Blue Bombers went out to BC to take on British Columbia and had 25. It sounded like the Vikings. 25 points at halftime. They ended up losing the game 32-31. Yeah, very disappointing.
Why did
for
the
Blue
2
Bombers.
play the 4?
They have a rule in the CFL that if the fourth place team in one of the divisions is better than the third place team in the other division, then the fourth place team goes over and plays as the third place team. There was nobody in the Eastern Division, Eastern Conference of the CFL that was above 500, and the West had 4 teams that were above 500.
And then you have to ask me why I won't watch it?
Because of something like that?
Yeah,
wait a minute now.
Who makes these rules?
Wait a minute. You like the rules of let's make sure that the North America had a team for the World Hockey, that they put Canadians and Americans together?
Mm-hmm.
You like that? Mm-hmm. Well, see, this is a thing just like that. It's something to get more people watching. The same thing with the WNBA. They went with the 8 best teams. The 1 and 2 out of the West were the best teams, so that's who met in the finals. They didn't go East and West. I like it. I think
Who
it's
ended up in the NBA final?
in the WNBA final.
Top
Los
two teams,
Angeles and
which
the
was
top
good.
2 teams. That's the way it's supposed
But
to work.
I'm sorry, that Canadian.
It seems gimmicky.
Well, the Canadian football is gimmicky. Basically, it's a
Gimmicky.
It's a second-class league, right? I mean, they're basically getting all the guys who can't make the NFL.
I agree.
You know, so
I don't think that makes the game gimmicky, though.
a little bit. They got 3 downs instead of 4.
It means you got to be better than the NFL boys. They take 4.
Yeah, we spent too much time on this.
Did the Bison win this weekend? I have
Yes.
no idea.
42-20 or something. They were up 21-0 after the first quarter, close to a win. North Dakota won.
North Dakota won. They
Fighting
continue.
Hawks.
They look like they will definitely be in the playoffs.
When does that start?
They've got another week left in the regular season, and then it starts the Thanksgiving weekend, the first round play-in game where North Dakota State should have a bye that week, and then they'll start the first weekend in December.
My brother-in-law who watches this show, I just want to remind him that I will be available every weekend through November and December to come down and watch a game if you got extra tickets.
I echo his sentiments. I'd be happy to come down and watch on a Saturday. Anyway,
We could do a show right from NDSU Stadium.
Hey, we could do that. The Gophers, tough loss at Nebraska. Surprised actually that they stayed as close as they did. I thought the defense played fairly well. It was too bad. If they would have won that game, they would have had a chance to be playing in the Big Ten championship game and either get throttled by Michigan or Ohio State, or Penn State actually has the inside track on this mess right now to play. Could you believe that Michigan and Ohio State could be out of the Big Ten championship game? Could that hurt their chances to get into the Final Four?
Well, it looks like Wisconsin got in the top 4 tonight, and Ohio State got back in there. Michigan went completely out. Minnesota proved to me again why I have a hard time watching it, because they had every chance in the world to win that game.
Did it?
Okay? And it's just the same thing, same excuses, same this, same that. It's just going to be just them, Purdue, Illinois, Indiana, Northwestern, put them all in a hat every year. They'll be the same record every year. They can't compete with the Wisconsins, the Iowas, Michigans, Michigan States, Ohio States. They are who they are, and be happy with it.
Let's see. What do you want to talk about next? What's on your mind?
Let's talk briefly about high school sports.
Yep.
And, not much.
Well, we got some big news there with the swimming and divers that are going to be going to state this week. Emily Sari taking first at the section meet on Saturday in a new school record time, went into the 110s in the 100 breaststroke. Awesome job, Emily, in taking first place there and heading back to the state meet. I think this is, and I didn't check this out, I think the 3rd time in the last 4 years in that event. And also Alyssa Mathis took 3rd place in diving, and she's headed off to the state meet as well. I believe, if I was told correctly, the divers start on Wednesday, get some practice time in, and then Emily swims on Thursday. So
No relay teams, guys?
no relay team made it
one
in.
individual in
Two, yeah, a swimmer and a diver
diver.
made it in, and
Good for them.
and also the Bronco bowling team won their conference tournament over the weekend. So they will be heading to the state tournament in early December. And congratulations to those guys as well, as they pretty much dominated the entire season against Grand Rapids, Hibbing, and Greenway, and ended up taking the whole thing on their home lane on Saturday. And congratulations to those guys as well, getting first place there. So
Little kudos go to Ralph
Rule?
Ralph Rule for basically he volunteers all his time. He's down there with those kids all the time at the bowling alley, and
Barry Miller as well.
Barry Miller, Barney, yeah, he's both of them bowl together in our league, and they're very good for our town as far as bowling and trying to keep it alive and well, because bowling's a sport that's been kind of going away a little bit, and we got to keep that bowling alley going.
Absolutely. Of course, the girls hockey gets their 2016-17 season started on Tuesday night as they host the Roseau Rams, and will also be at home on Thursday night to take on the North Shore Storm. So 2 home games to start the season. And I talked to your brother last week, and he understands that the expectations are high, and I think he is relating that to his ladies about the things that they need to do. And again, we talked about this right before we went on the air. You talk about any hockey team, it is always going to come down to goaltending at some form or fashion, and how everybody plays in front of that goaltender. And this team, I think, obviously the Proctor Hermantown sits out there as a viable option. Hibbing always good with Iozo and their Division One hockey player there. And it's going to be a very interesting season, and I can't wait for it to see how it transpires through mid-February at least.
Yeah, you got 2 Lexies, Edwards and Erickson, and of course little T, Amber T-Lander. So you got 3 pretty high-end players there. You got Maggie Roeder coming back. Boy, who else?
Got the Palm and Sari.
Sari's not going to play, of course, probably the first couple weeks, but she's a high-end defenseman, really good. They'll miss her at the beginning of the year. Roseau's always a tough test for them early on in the year. I think the Falls will play right with them, though, this year. Again, Hermantown will be tough. They bring in some extra players here or there. I don't know how they get them. And Hyduke retired, so my brother, one of my buddies, Peter Hyduke, that coached Hibbing for years, he's not coaching there anymore. So
yeah, was it just time to walk away?
Yeah, he just he's put his time in there, and time to let somebody else new and younger get in there. And but it should be a good, successful year. I'm projecting out about 14-15 wins and a shot at the finals. I think they got a good shot of reaching the semis and the finals.
Boys hockey started practice on Monday the 14th, along with girls basketball. Of course, girls basketball team has very high expectations, basically bringing everybody back from a team that went to the section finals last year. And of course, George McDonald and the boys hockey team looking to improve on. If I remember right now, I'm going off the top of my head, I think 10 wins from last year. I think they'd like to see that get up to maybe 13, 14, somewhere in that area through 25 games. I think if they feel like they could get to that point, they'd feel like they had a pretty successful season.
Yeah, they got a couple good defense. Beckvar's back on D. I think they got to find a couple more to help him out. Losing Boyum and a couple there. They got Nemec, Wright, Lindvall up front. That's going to help them. Podpesker, definitely a good fast skater. I think they need to find 1 or 2 defensemen that be able to play at a high level. Not sure what they're getting from the band. I think the Palm kid will probably move up. And goaltending will be a big deal there. Clow, who else? Anybody did Showbloom come back this year? Because I know he had some injuries last year. So
I believe that he is back, yes.
Showbloom and Clow, and Amdahl, I think's in the mix also. So
yeah, and I think, like I said, it's as that position always seems to go, no matter what level you're at, the goaltender can bring a team up and definitely make things happen. So
Hermantown, joke that they're still in the section, but they're there. They'll be pretty near impossible. Hibbing lost Perinovich, lost their goalie also to the U.S. development. Greenway should be pretty well loaded, but not
enough to take Hermantown.
No, but should be a fun year. It's always a good walk over from my house to Bronco Arena, and maybe I'll do a few games with you on the radio.
That'd be awesome.
We'll go from there.
What'd you hear about deer hunting?
Well, it's still happening.
It's still happening.
A lot of deer out at the shack I'm at, and a lot of does though. A couple guys had some shots. They were too far away. They decided not to shoot at them, which is good. We don't like to injure deer, especially when we got a lot around us. A lot of does. My buddy Bruce Sandbeck planted a lot of new alfalfa and all this other stuff out in the fields. So a lot of deer. We've seen more deer this year than ever, and we're hoping they produce a few bucks for us in the next couple of years that are coming up. But looks like it's so far a mild winter. What's the forecast? There snow on Friday?
Somebody said today after school, there's snow coming, and I'm like, when? And they said for the weekend, and I'm like, okay. I have not looked that far ahead. That's too far away. I can't look that far away. So.
All right, I think we covered everything. Any Q&A
I was
out
going to
there?
say questions.
When do you think they'll actually flood the outdoor rinks?
Ooh.
Flood the outdoor rinks. I would guess when we get weather in the 20s.
So
I don't know.
January?
When do we usually do it, Joe? When do we usually flood the rinks?
Well, they're usually done starting about November or December.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving
I
sometime
remember
in
when
there?
I was a kid, I swear, November 1st to April 1st, we had ice all that time.
Usually snow about this time.
Yeah, but no, when we were kids, it was different.
It was
The weather
colder back in
different.
the
It was
60s and
colder
the
back
70s.
then.
That's when
That
kids were
doggone
kids.
global warming. It's true, people.
It's
But
true.
as soon as I guess we get below freezing on a certain amount of periods, they got a bunch of volunteers running the 8th Street rink. They kept that place open. One of the best rinks in all the state of Minnesota is right here in our own backyard of Rainier. They do a remarkable job. Kudos to the city of Rainier. That arena or that little rink is so much fun, and they make it fun. They have little fire pits, and they have hot dog roasts and marshmallows. They tell everybody to come down. Just make sure when you come down and there's snow on the rink, grab a shovel and help out. Don't go sit in the warming shack and wait for other people to do it. You get out there and shovel yourselves.
Other questions?
Good question, though.
Yeah.
Did we answer it?
Yeah, you answered it. Yeah. Well, just growing up too, it's like I remember like cross country skiing, and a kid like this year, I wouldn't be surprised that the first weeks they're running with poles.
Yeah.
Unless they're artificially creating it, but it's still been too warm to I think to really
Keep the
break
snow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And again, we're here at Looney's Brew.
As always, our home.
Home away from home. It's a great place. Busy again tonight. We got busier than last week. I think we had 15. We have about 20 in here tonight, and the crowd keeps getting bigger for our show.
All right.
You think that's why they're all here?
That's why they're all here. It's because of us, Mike. That's
Yeah.
what we got to remember. It's all because of us.
All right. Well, thanks for. Don't take us too serious.
Thanks.